What's really going on behind the camera? Why did BTS's Jin suddenly change while with Team Kian? And is Jin really leaving BTS? The shocking question that struck her heart in front of the cameras left everyone speechless. Emotions explode. Anger is revealed. And for the first time, Jin couldn't hide the burden he had been carrying, finally revealed. This is the reason BTS's Jin is behaving strangely with Team Kian. Have you ever witnessed a moment when someone who is usually so cheerful, warm, and professional suddenly turned cold, stiff, and stressful? Have you ever seen a global superstar lose control of his emotions over just one question? One short sentence that managed to destroy the calm he had built up over the years? If not, this story will open your eyes. Because something unexpected happened when BTS's Jin, a figure who has been known as the protector of laughter in the middle of a storm, was in front of the camera with Kian's team. And it all started with a question. When are you leaving BTS? No one expected that the question would come out. Not in the middle of filming. Not when Jin just returned from his military service. Not when he's trying to balance his feelings after a stressful military life and a brutal entertainment world. His face changed. The look in his eyes that used to glow warm instantly became cold and empty. Everyone in the room felt it. The air becomes heavy. An awkward silence filled the room. Kian's team, which was initially full of enthusiasm, immediately lost for words. They did not expect that the question would trigger something that had been hidden by Jin. What is going on in Jin's heart? During this time, ARMY knows Jin as a person who is always cheerful, always able to make the atmosphere fun. But that day, all those masks fell off. No smiles, no laughter. There is only silence and teary eyes. The camera keeps recording. Nothing stopped the filming process. Nobody knows what to do. Did the question arise out of bad intentions? Or is it part of the scenario to increase the tension of the content? No one knows for sure. It's clear, however, that Jen is feeling the pinch. Pressed. Treated like a prisoner in an interrogation room, not as a guest of honor. Instantly, all BTS fans, or commonly known as ARMY, began to speculate. Short video clips of the moment began to spread, although many were deleted. But the traces of those emotions are too strong to forget. In one moment, Jin looked directly at the camera and asked in a deep voice, "Do you think I don't think about it every night?" Silence. The room froze. What does Jin mean? Thinking of leaving BTS? Or think about what his future will be after returning? All this time we thought he was okay, but it turned out there's something deeper. Something he hasn't even been able to share with the other BTS members. And that day, in the presence of Kian's team, everything exploded. Those on the set said that Jin did not immediately resume recording after the question. He sat in the corner of the room, staring at everyone. Even the production staff did not dare to approach. Jin's gaze was like storing an explosion that was only a matter of time. And when one of Kian's team members tried to equalize the atmosphere with a light joke, Jin replied in a high voice, "Do you think this is funny?" The explosion was real. And at that very moment, the entire filming location fell silent. Jin, the worldwide handsome, that day was not an artist with a charming face and a smile that has always been adored. He's human. Humans who are struggling. Tired man. Then what happens next? Will filming resume? Is Team Kian apologizing? Did Jin decide to leave the room? Everything remains an enigma. But one thing is certain, from that moment on, Jin began to show a side of himself that the public had never seen. No more pretending to be strong. No longer hide wounds. No more trying to be perfect, and that changes everything. That ARMY began to dig up the remaining pieces of the clip. They are looking for expression, the look in the eyes, the movement of the genie's hands. In one of the parts that was not paid much attention to, Jin could be seen squeezing his own fingers. A gesture he used to do when he was anxious. But this time, he did it for almost a full minute. Is this the burden he has been carrying alone? What makes that question so painful? Many speculated that Jin felt as if he was being accused, as if his presence in BTS is now a question mark. In fact, after 2 years of sacrifice during his military service, he just wanted to return to feel the warmth of home. And that house is BTS. But the question is, when are you going to leave BTS? It's like taking it all away from him. Why now? Why did it have to be when Jin had just returned? After filming was completed, Jin reportedly declined all interview requests. There are even reports that he left the location without saying a word. An unusual act for him. But who can blame him? Army split. Some are angry with the team. Some feel the question is a scenario from management. Some even suspect that this is all part of a massive promotion for Jin's more emotional comeback. But is it worth sacrificing one's emotional calm for the sake of content? In the midst of the commotion, Jin disappeared from social media for several days. No updates. No photos. No tweets. Quiet. And when he finally returned, one short message appeared on the Weverse platform. I just want to be loved for who I am, not because of who you think I should be. That sentence made thousands of soldiers cry. The question now is no longer about when Jin will leave BTS. But does she still want to survive in the midst of a world that continues to pressure her to be the perfect figure? Are we, as viewers, too hungry for drama to forget that these idols are also human? Has the pressure to always be an idol destroyed the human side of a Kim seokjin? One question, one explosion, one silence has changed the way we look at genies forever. And that day, behind the camera of the Kian team, we watched Jin not as a star, but as a human being who finally said enough. The news of the shocking incident between Jin and Kian's team didn't just stop in the shooting room. The day after the incident, various social media platforms exploded with hashtags #ProtectJin, #ApologizeToJin, and even #JinDeservesBetter. Armies from all over the world unite, not just out of anger, but out of hurt. They were hurt to see Jin, who had been a symbol of strength and happiness, now look so fragile and wounded in public. But the most surprising thing was not the reaction of the fans. Rather, another BTS member. Why didn't any of them make a statement? Do they even know what's going on? Are they deliberately silent? Or is this a HYB management strategy to dampen the fire before it burns bigger? Behind all the speculation, a small clue is revealed. On the night after the incident, Taehyung's personal account, aka V, was seen giving likes to a post that was quite shocking. The post reads, "Sometimes we are so busy giving the world what it wants that we forget to ask ourselves if we still want it." Not an ordinary sentence. Not a quote from a famous book. But it was a snippet of a poem Jin once wrote, and only recited in a behind-the-scenes content that was never publicly released. The question now is, how can someone quote Jin's personal poem that has never aired? Is this a coincidence? Or is this a sign that some insider wants to send a signal to the public that Jin has been carrying a burden that he cannot share for a long time? And does V know about it? 2 days later, J-Hope appeared on Weverse and wrote a sentence that instantly became a global discussion. Brother is not